I ain't never seen nothing like this before. Caitlin Clark is a menace, man. She literally kicked Cheryl Reeves off the team. This is my team. I don't fuck with you. Get out of here. Yo, son. Cheryl Reeves, you asked for it. You asked.
There are moments in sports history when everything changes. When a player doesn't just break records, but rewrites the rules. On July 8, 2025, during what was supposed to be a routine WNBA All-Star draft, Caitlin Clark did just that. With ESPN cameras rolling and millions watching, Caitlin Clark made a move so bold, so unexpected, that it left league executives, commentators.
They swapped coaches. Cheryl Reeve, dodged the bullet. Thank God I don't need to coach Caitlin Clark, man. Man, I can't deal with that. I would have had to swallow so much pride, I can't do that. Fee, she probably called in the Fee, talk to Caitlin, please. I can't coach her, I can't do it. This book's about to come out. You know what they're going to be saying if I'm coaching Caitlin Clark and the book's out? Oh, God. Fee, please. And then Sandy Bordello's like, oh yeah, this is good.
And fans completely stunned. She traded her all-star coach. Let that sink in. In a league built on structure, tradition, and carefully managed optics, one player, still in her rookie season, took the wheel and made it known, the era of silent compliance was over. The WNBA had arranged the all-star coaching assignments like clockwork. The Minnesota Lynx, boasting the best record in the league, had their head coach Cheryl Reeve automatically assigned to coach Team.
Yo, this is the first time I've ever seen this, man. The first time out of all the times I've seen where two star players are picking up players. They ask for a trade, or the median person asks for a trade, and they're talking about trading the
Clark. Sandy Brondello of the New York Liberty would coach Team Collier. Everything was set. Everything, except for Clark's willingness to go along with it. Because Caitlin Clark knew what the public didn't, this wasn't just a coaching assignment. It was personal. Cheryl Reeve had spent months publicly and privately minimizing Clark's accomplishments, tweeting shade, questioning her popularity, and most notably, playing a major role in her Olympic exclusion. Caitlin had had enough. With calm confidence, she announced to
is Collier's head coach for the Minnesota Lynx, so that makes sense, but the drama is going to come from Reeve having previously been critical on social media about the amount of attention Clark received relative to the rest of the league, not to mention being the coach of Team USA that Caitlin Clark was so famously snubbed from.
ESPN that she and Team Collier had decided to swap coaches. Sandy Brondello would coach her team instead. No permission. No hesitation. Just a statement of fact, this is how it's going to be. The silence in the studio was deafening. You could almost feel the temperature drop as executives scrambled behind the scenes. But it was too late. The most marketable star in league history had just made a move that not only challenged her critics, but upended the WNBA's carefully controlled image. This wasn't about ego.
To be completely honest, I love my team. I think they're great. I don't have any intentions of really trading any of them. I don't know if this is in the rules. I don't really care. But I think we've already discussed we are going to trade coaches. He's going to take her coach, Sandy Brondello. Let's get it. It's going to be amazing. Sorry, WNBA, if that's not in the rule. Sorry, ESPN, if that's not in the rules, but we just made it a rule. So, Sandy Brondello, come on over. Whoa! Let's get to it. You can coach Sabrina.
This was about dignity. For months, Clark had been treated like an outsider by parts of the league she helped elevate. Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of Team USA, had not only excluded her from the Olympic roster, but dismissed her omission without remorse. And this, after Clark had helped shatter viewership records, filled arenas, and
news here. I don't know that I've heard of a coach being traded in the All-Star.
Injected the league with a national spotlight it hadn't seen in decades. Reeve's disdain wasn't subtle. From cryptic tweets to public jabs, her attitude toward Clark was clear. This wasn't just about basketball, it was about control. About legacy. About resisting change. And Clark? She simply refused to play that game. In that one televised moment, she sent a message that resonated far beyond the court. She would no longer allow herself to be disrespected by people threatened by her impact. She would no longer sit quietly while decisions were made for her, not with her. For the first time in WNBA history, a player didn't just select teammates, she changed the term.
Announced that Cheryl Reeves will be the coach for Caitlin Clark's All-Star team. Not feeling this at all. This is the same woman who despised her last year, saying, I don't give two shits about Caitlin Clark. The same woman who really didn't want her on the Olympic team. She was hell bent about it, very open about it. Same woman who wore Black Girls Rock while playing Caitlin Clark, insinuating that Caitlin Clark is a racist. So she's going to be, pandering to the audience. Like, I hate that shit, man. I hate people who
of engagement entirely. That power move didn't come from arrogance. It came from months of disrespect, whispers, and exclusion. It came from being treated as a marketing tool while being denied the honor of representing her country. It came from knowing that her presence had changed the game, but the league still wasn't ready to give her a seat at the table. Well, she pulled up a chair. Some called it controversial. Others called it disruptive. But make no mistake, it was historic. And in the days that followed, one thing became crystal clear: Caitlin Clark isn't just here to play basketball. She's here to lead.
Reeve wasn't a part of the official committee, but, some may believe she had some say in how all that went down. Regardless, the picking between the players was a lot of fun, and Caitlin Clark also wound up with all of the Fever members on her squad as well, meaning Aaliyah Boston, Clark, and Kelsey Mitchell will be a trio in Indianapolis for All-Star.
The Indiana Fever star also drafted all her current teammates, Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell, onto her All-Star team, signaling unity and chemistry in the face of a league that has sometimes treated her like an outsider. It wasn't just about winning a game. It was about taking control of a narrative long written by others. Caitlin Clark is not interested in being the league's prop. She's here to reshape it from the inside out. And on July 8th, the WNBA saw what that looks like. This wasn't just a trade. It was a declaration. Caitlin Clark has done what few athletes, let alone rookies, ever do. She changed the game without touching the ball. During what was meant to be a routine WNBA All-Star draft, Clark pulled off one of the boldest, most strategic moves in league history. She traded her coach. And in doing so, she made something undeniably clear: the era of silent star athletes, expected to simply nod along while being disrespected, is over.
Appreciate. By the way, I just got official word from the WNBA, from the league. I am hearing that a trade of coaches is permitted and it is granted. I wish I had a gavel here. So the coach trade has gone through. As the steward of this draft, it has been approved. And these are your teams. This is going to be a whole lot of fun. Ladies, thank you so much for...
The setup was simple. The Minnesota Lynx, holding the league's best record, had their head coach Cheryl Reeve assigned to lead Clark's All-Star team. Sandy Brondello of the New York Liberty was given Team Collier. Tradition. Structure. All by the book. But the league forgot one thing: Caitlin Clark doesn't follow old scripts. She writes new ones. Cheryl Reeve wasn't just a random coach. She was the head of Team USA, the very team that snubbed Clark from the Olympic roster. A coach who had, time and time again, dismissed Clark's accomplishments. Whether it was cryptic social media posts or icy press statements, Reeve made it clear she wasn't a fan of the attention Clark brought to the game. So when Clark stood before the cameras and calmly declared that she and Team Collier had decided to swap coaches, bringing Brondello to her side and sending Reeve packing, she wasn't just adjusting the lineup. She was sending a message. No apologies. No drama. Just the quiet precision of a leader who knows her value. The league was caught off guard. They scrambled to approve the decision on air, confirming the move only after Clark had already made it clear she wasn't asking for permission. This wasn't a publicity stunt. It wasn't
They get to trade coaches. They just traded Cheryl Reeves to get the Liberty coach. That is great. So we don't have to worry about Cheryl Reeves anymore. Cheryl Reeves can go to her team. I think Nafisa's team is too slow, bro. Alyssa Thomas is good, but she's slow. Angel Reese isn't fast. Breanna Stewart isn't fast. I'm telling you, they're going to be more of a half-court type of team.
Maturity. It was power, exercised with grace and clarity. And it was long overdue. Caitlin Clark didn't rise to fame on hype alone. She filled arenas, broke records, and brought women's basketball into living rooms across America. And yet, she's been treated by parts of the league like a disruption instead of a blessing. Flagrant fouls. Cold shoulders. Snubs from all-star committees and Olympic rosters. And still, she never lashed out. Until now. Because this wasn't just about Cheryl Reeve. This was about respect. Clark had reached the point where being dismissed by those in power could no longer be tolerated. And instead of begging for acceptance, she made a choice to chart her own course and force the league to follow. And the WNBA did follow. In real time, they had to create a new precedent to accommodate their biggest star's decision. ESPN's Malika Andrews confirmed it live. The trade was permitted. It was official. That moment, broadcast to millions, was more than symbolic. It was historic. It marked the first time in WNBA history that a player had traded a coach in an
Coach, you may have been involved in the first ever coach trade of any All-Star game ever. Just want to get your thoughts on that in your mind. First for you, Leo.
They announced it? Yeah. That you got traded? Yeah. Oh, I got to go look at all that. Traded? I have no idea what the teams are.
Second time in history now.
Oh, geez, as a player.
And I got traded, yes. My son hit me up after he goes, I've created history. This is awesome. I got traded as a coach. But look, I get to coach with Sabrina. I'm on Caitlin Clark's in Indianapolis. I mean, what a great show. So we'll go out there and have some fun.
Star setting. And it won't be forgotten. Sandy Brondello embraced the opportunity with enthusiasm. I got traded as a coach, she laughed. What a great opportunity to coach Caitlin Clark and Sabrina in Indianapolis. Meanwhile, Cheryl Reeve could only sit back and watch as the player she had minimized finally turned the tables. Watch as the young woman she had dismissed now controlled the game board. Not out of revenge. Not out of spite. But out of principle. For the first time in Cheryl Reeve's storied coaching career, she wasn't the one calling the shots. She was being called out, on a national stage. This is what leadership looks like. In most professional leagues, when a generational star emerges, the league bends to support them. The NBA had Jordan. The NFL had Brady. MLB had Jeter. They were protected, promoted, and elevated. But in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark, the player who's brought in millions of dollars in new revenue, viewership spikes, and national attention, has been left.
And you remember when Caitlin was in Minnesota last year, she had a little extra spice after one of the baskets, because Cheryl Reeve's a great coach, don't get me wrong. And she doesn't bite her tongue, which you noticed after the WNBA finals when she said it was stolen from the Lynx. There's no questioning her acumen. And certainly she'll speak her mind, but there's got to be something in the back of Caitlin's mind that still feels a little miffed, even if Reeve wasn't directly responsible for her not making the Olympic squad. Now, there was another attempted trade.
Fend for herself. Until now. Clark's decision wasn't petty. It wasn't personal. It was professional. A statement that in today's game, star players deserve more than jerseys and endorsement deals. They deserve respect. And she didn't scream. She didn't protest. She simply made a move that forced the league to respond, not with discipline, but with cooperation. This wasn't just a trade. This was a turning point. The implications are massive. Clark just showed the rest of the league, especially younger players, that you can stand your ground. That you don't have to accept disrespect, even when it comes from the top. That power isn't given. It's taken, when the moment is right. And make no mistake, Caitlin Clark knew exactly when to strike. She waited until the moment had maximum visibility and minimum risk. Then, with the eyes of the basketball world watching, she rewrote the rules. For Cheryl Reeve, it may be the most humbling moment of her career. But for Clark, and for women's sports, it's the beginning of something far greater. Not just a new chapter. A new standard.
Caitlin said she don't care if it's in the rules or nothing. She trading to get her off my team. So Caitlin and Collier switched coaches because Caitlin wasn't having it. She said no ops will be on my team.
Watching, Caitlin Clark made a move so bold, so unexpected, that it left league executives, commentators, and fans completely stunned. She traded her all-star coach. Let that sink in. In a league built on structure, tradition, and carefully managed optics, one player, still in her rookie season, took the wheel and made it known, the era of silent compliance was over. The WNBA had arranged the all-star coaching assignments like clockwork. The Minnesota Lynx, boasting the best record in the league, had their head coach Cheryl Reeve automatically assigned to coach Team Clark. Sandy Brondello of the New York Liberty would coach Team Collier. Everything was set. Everything, except for Clark's willingness to go along with it. Because Caitlin Clark knew what the public didn't, this wasn't just a coaching assignment. It was personal. Cheryl Reeve had spent months publicly and privately minimizing Clark's accomplishments, tweeting shade, questioning her popularity, and most notably,
of her power and influence. Clark, or what I like to refer to her now as Gangster Clark, heard Cheryl crusted blueberry muffin ass Reeve being salty in that press conference, throwing shade at the Fever and said, nope, Get her punk ass up out of here. She ain't about to coach my team for the All-Star game, and that's why I call her Gangster Clark, because whatever Gangster Clark wants, Gangster Clark.
Playing a major role in her Olympic exclusion. Caitlin had had enough. With calm confidence, she announced to ESPN that she and Team Collier had decided to swap coaches. Sandy Brondello would coach her team instead. No permission. No hesitation. Just a statement of fact. This is how it's going to be. The silence in the studio was deafening. You could almost feel the temperature drop as executives scrambled behind the scenes. But it was too late. The most marketable star in league history had just made a move that not only challenged her critics, but upended the WNBA's carefully controlled image. This wasn't about ego. This was about dignity. For months, Clark had been treated like an outsider by parts of the league she helped elevate. Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of Team USA, had not only excluded her from the Olympic roster, but dismissed her omission without remorse. And this, after Clark had helped shatter viewership records, filled arenas, and injected the league with a national spotlight it hadn't seen in decades. Reeve's disdain wasn't subtle. From cryptic tweets to public jabs, her attitude toward Clark was clear. This wasn't just about basketball, it was about control. About legacy.